The views expressed on the Nova Society are those of the panelists and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Phoenix Research Institute or any institution which any panel member is associated.
I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in with us on the Nova Society. I'm your host, Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, and I'm here with the panel, Dr. Scott Gershwer and Dr. Mark Bound. Today we are exploring current events and so many issues and so much to talk about. So, Scott, Mark, what's on your mind for what's going on today?
What do you think, Scott?
Let's talk about the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Always fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Lies, damn lies, and statistics.
How juicy. How juicy.
Yeah, it is. And the fact that for the Fed and for interest rates and things like that, those are the numbers that the guy depends on. And now the new person, I forget the guy's name, he's a Heritage Foundation person and whatnot, and very, very little, if any, peer-reviewed journal publications. If he is confirmed by the Senate, as I am sure he will be, he wants to do quarterly reports until the process is solidified or corrected or whatever, which I bet the process is never going to be solidified and corrected statistically. I mean, I don't even know what he's talking about. So what do you think he's talking about? And do you think the reports will continue to come out quarterly or at all? Or what kind of situation do you think this is going to leave us in economically? I mean, obviously the numbers are not going to be anything except what Trump wants them to be.
Well, I think the first thing we got to ask ourselves is, if the new guy gets confirmed, will the numbers we get be even close to reality? So that we have to first see.
The answer is no, in my opinion.
Well, okay. We don't know that yet.
Not if they're genuinely good and Trump is happy, then yes, then they'll reflect reality. If reality is negative and Trump is unhappy, then no, it'll be just like Stalin with a 5-year plan, where if the factory numbers didn't match what Stalin said they needed to be, the factory person would lie and say that they at least met, if not exceeded, what Stalin wanted, because that was the only way he was going to keep his job and his life in many cases.
So without jumping to Stalin right away, this guy Antony, was it EJ Antony? Was on with Fox apparently on Monday, Fox Business, I think it was, and said that the BLS should stop issuing monthly job reports until the problems at the agency are fixed. Okay, so one thing, and Mark, let's see if you think that this matters. The BLS is legally required to issue monthly state employment reports. Legally required.
So what?
Does that matter?
No.
Well,
no, I mean, the people can collect the data, but he doesn't have to issue it. I mean, issue it to whom?
No, he does have to issue it.
But to
legally,
whom?
They're required.
Yeah, but to whom?
Well, I'd have to look that up, but
I mean, can that be stopped or redacted, or the publication put out and then quiet and then immediately stopped?
Well, all right. So when you ask to who?
Mm-hmm.
I think the people that really want to know this, I mean, let's face it, when they give the jobs report to us, it's like, oh yeah, it's that, it's this, it's that. To us in our everyday lives, doesn't really matter all that much. But if you're an investor, if you're Wall Street, if you're a business, a corporation, and you're looking at, the Fed and what they're going to do as far as interest rates and things like that, yeah, this kind of matters a lot.
Oh, yes.
I mean, this is kind of like a big deal. I mean, to the average citizen, it's the jobs report. And, of course, they're always going to make adjustments within 30 days because, hey, all right, great. But again, even the adjustments don't impact us, and we just kind of move on with our lives. And it's like, well, that was the jobs report. But where this really, really matters, and I think this is where you're going to get a lot of pushback, probably is corporate America and investing America. Those two groups, Wall Street, they are going to push back on this, because what it does is they want to know what the climate is today. They understand when those jobs reports come out, they're probably not exact. They're probably, not written in stone. They're assuming there's going to be some adjustment. And a lot of times the adjustments aren't really all that big, but they're able to plan and make decisions based on those numbers, along with a few other numbers. But those numbers are a big deal. Those numbers are a big deal. Let's face it. If Americans are working, people aren't buying. And that's kind of the way it works. So, yeah, that kind of matters a lot. And I think that's where your real pushback is going to come, is not from average Joe, but from those two sectors, the corporate America and Wall Street, who rely on these numbers so heavily to make the decisions that they make, and it could be very bad for the economy. This is one of those, you don't think about it very much, but this is one of those that, it really could be destructive to the economy very, very quickly if those people that need these numbers don't have them in a timely manner. And if it goes quarterly, I can't see a corporation saying, well, we have to wait 3 months to make a decision. Corporations don't do that. Investors don't do that. Investors make decisions on a daily basis. And whenever you see a jobs report come out, that week afterwards, Wall Street goes up and down, depending on how the jobs report went. What was the expectations? So I can't see them going quarterly. If they do, I think we're going to have a really hard road ahead of us for the economy. And I think that's just going to be multiplied by the fact of these tariffs. And I just see this as like disaster looking for a place to happen.
What do you think will happen with the lawsuit with Jerome Powell? Do you think that will have any effect on getting rid of him, which I know Trump is absolutely just rubbing his little fingers together to do as quickly as possible?
Well, all right. So Jerome Powell, you like him or not, and there's a lot of people that, have no real feeling about Jerome Powell. He's a pretty smart guy. Oh, Scott has a real heavy feeling about him, so we'll get to Scott here in a second.
None at all. Go on.
None at all. I mean, he's a pretty smart guy, and he is not the only decision maker. We have to remember that the Fed is a group of people. Yes, there's a chairman, but it's just like being the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. He's still just one vote. That's all he is. He doesn't, make the decision himself. He doesn't sit in his living room and say, "Oh, we're going to do this," and the heck with what the rest of the Fed members say. So there's a group there, and changing the Fed chair, can that have an influence? Well, all depends on how much fingers into the pudding that Fed chair wants to have. Same thing with the Supreme Court Chief Justice. In all reality, he has very little more, he's administrative. That's an administrative position, Chief Justice. His vote doesn't count any more than anybody else's. He has cast his vote as the Chief Justice. He has cast his vote on the losing side, and it doesn't change. And the same thing goes for the Fed chair. He's got to confer with all of his colleagues on the Fed. So this idea of focusing on Powell as the focal point of here's all your problems, it's that Fed chair. Well, that's a little bit away from the reality of how the Fed actually works. So Scott, you were going to say about old Jerome?
There are like 2,000 people working and collecting data, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. My only thing to say about Powell is that he's gone as soon as they get a chance to do it. I don't know what it's going to take, but I'm going to predict that he's not going to hold back from firing the guy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then you think he'll get whoever does the replacing will do whatever Trump wants and lower interest rates and do this and do that and really create a stagflation situation or whatever, runaway inflation.
Something like that. I mean, you have to, right? That's the Hannah Arendt rule. Is you have to have nothing but hacks.
Yep.
If you want to really be an autocrat, you need to have people who will just do what you tell them to do, and nobody pushes back.
Right. And let's face it, the Wall Street and many of corporate America have said, don't get rid of Powell. Their reaction to getting rid of him could be detrimental as well. Again, they react on real-time data and facts. Who he puts in there, in place, doesn't matter what we think. Let's remember, when they say we're going to drop interest rates by 0.25%, does that affect our mortgages? Nope. Does that affect our car payments? No, not really. No, not really. They're talking about the amount of money that's the prime rate. And that's the prime rate for like Microsoft and for, these other huge corporations. That's the prime rate. And yeah, that matters to them. Doesn't really affect, mainstream America very much. Yeah, you might get a 0.1% help on a new mortgage or something. Who knows? But there's other factors that are going to make that a reality. It's not just what the Fed said to the prime lending rate is, up or down 0.25. Does not matter. But it does matter to those corporations, as when they spend money and they borrow off that prime rate, yes, they want a lower rate so that, like anybody else, so they pay back less. But, we have been told, this has been beaten into, the American public that, hey, if they raise the rate by 0.25%, oh, that's detrimental to you. Well, in a way it is. In a way it is a bit detrimental to you because, yeah, if they raise it and ExxonMobil now wants to build a new plant and has to, pay an extra 0.25%, guess what? Just sort of like tariffs, they're going to pass it on to you, the consumer. That's where it really impacts us. And here's the bad news. If they raise it by 0.25%, what you're going to pay extra at the pump from ExxonMobil or whichever gas you buy is going to be more than make up for that 0.25% extra they're paying. That's all there is to it. So, again, anybody that doesn't think that the consumer, and I understand that, my first comment is that, it doesn't impact us. No, not directly. And I want to make that very clear. Does not impact us directly in our borrowing, but it can impact us in our purchasing. And that's really where the difference comes. And that's where the Fed is so important because you can't trust the federal government to set it. That's for doggone sure. Hell, they can't come up with a budget. You're going to trust them with the interest rates? No, come on. You can't do it.
What do you think will happen when Mike Johnson and all those folks come back from their vacation and they've got to go back to work?
Well, first of all, they have to start working. Haven't seen them do much of that lately.
That's a good point.
What do you think, Scott? What the most punchable face in America comes back? You think they're going to do anything?
No,
I don't either.
They got nothing to do.
No, they don't. All right, next.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for spending some time with us on the Nova Society. If you are not yet subscribed on the platform of your choice, please do so. Subscribing is free and it does support the channel. We appreciate that very much. So for Scott, Mark, and me, thank you very much again. And we will see you again next time.
The Nova Society is a production of Nova Society Media, a division of the Phoenix Research Institute. We'd like to thank our production partners, Buzzsprout, who hosts the Nova Society, Audacity, our editing partners, Apple iTunes, the largest source of podcasts and music on the internet, Spotify, the most popular platform for the Nova Society, and iHeartRadio, your source for all things music and podcasting. The Nova Society is available on all of these and other quality platforms listed in our description. We'd also like to thank all of our listeners. Without your support, the Nova Society would not be possible. If you have a question or comment, we can be reached at nova.society.podcast@gmail.com. So for Dr. Brooklyn Ann Weldon, Dr. Scott Gershwer, and all of our production partners here at the Nova Society, I'm Dr. Mark Bound. Remember, the true power in society is knowledge. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again next time.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening!